Hi, this is Adele from Naked.Recovery. So in the field of trauma recovery, one of the things that we see a lot are people that engage in what we will call excessive levels of rumination. And rumination is often caused by a cognitive distortion that we call hindsight bias. And hindsight bias is whenever you are judging something that you did in the past with the eyes and the insights of today. And you are looking back on the past and thinking, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or, oh, why didn't I do that? And, it's a really harsh way to kind of, from hindsight, judge yourself. And the rumination often happens when people are paralyzed with those things that they should have been doing or they could have done to prevent the trauma or the issue from happening in the first place. And there are many issues with staying in that ruminative space. And firstly, hindsight bias is it can be really, really cruel because it causes a real cycle of negative reinforcement. And it can confuse people where instead of looking at the behavior that actually caused their own behavior that they can be accountable for, that caused or led to some of the thing that happened or didn't lead to the thing that happened, that negative reinforcement makes you actually confuse the behavior with I am entirely responsible for the whole thing happening. So you're not looking at it like in a pie chart where you're seeing, okay, I'm accountable for this piece of what happened, and actually someone else is accountable for this piece, and maybe someone else is accountable for that piece, and this whole rest of the pie chart is actually what happened. We can't see all the various aspects when we are so fixated on what we could have, should have, must have done differently. So that negative reinforcement becomes like a shame spiral where we can misattribute that we are entirely at cause for the whole thing. The next thing is it just leads to constant what we call hyperarousal. And hyperarousal is when you're just never able to calm down or relax in any way. You are re-traumatizing yourself over and over again with this excessive rumination. You're avoiding healing. Instead of taking actions that are consistent with learning and healing and moving on, you're keeping in this like cycle of I could have, I should have, and it's just not helpful. It interferes with problem solving. It interferes with the ability to see what is my actual responsibility of this. Is it really all me? Was it all caused by me? Or were there other factors that played into this thing happening in the first place? It impacts on your other relationships, and it can really cause physical health challenges and biological and medical issues. We can exacerbate this whole psychological issue in the first place. The most important thing that you need to do with hindsight bias and with this excessive rumination is that responsibility pie chart that I was talking about. You need to be able to stand back and go, well, hang on a second. And sometimes doing that analysis with someone else is a bit more helpful than just doing it on your own, is to sit back and say, right, what part of this am I actually accountable for? What part can I take and what part can somebody else take to look at the accountability around all this? The next thing is to understand that you don't have a time machine. You can't go back. It is what it is. No matter what happens moving forward, you thinking, I could have, I should have, why didn't I? What's the point of that? It's a fruitless venture. And it's actually a real lack of self-compassion when you are engaging in that, because you're not really thinking in reality. Reality is we can't go back in time and change something. You have to accept what is. You have to face what is, and you have to now learn to adjust to it. And the best way to adjust is to start to look at, well, what can I learn from this event? The learning of which will allow me to release what has happened. What can I do differently? What can I adjust or change in relation to the piece of the pie that I'm actually accountable for? So if you find yourself in this endless cycle, take a step back. You need to focus on your own self-regulation and calming. Question this bias, this distortion that you have going on by questioning the pie chart and what part of this are you actually accountable for? Is it really all of it, or is it just like a small piece of it? And then standing back is like, look, I don't have a time machine. There's nothing I can actually do to go back in time and fix this. And then you start to look at, well, what can I do moving forward? What can I change? What can I learn or grow from or develop from in the next time round, so that I can transform what has happened into a real opportunity for transformation for myself. So I hope that's helpful. Until next time.